Who has been to Kennedy Space Center? Isn't it amazing? At first, I thought it was a kid's playground. But when I was there, I realized that this is the actual work site of NASA. There were like actual real astronauts walking around. I'm going to bring my children to this Kennedy Space Center at some point in their life. It's going to blow them away. A lot of people think that, oh, it's impossible to do this, it's impossible to do that. You just have to spend a day at Kennedy Space Center, and the word impossible is going to be written off from your vocabulary. There, those 3 statues are the crew of Apollo 11. That is the successful space mission to the moon. Right in the middle, guess who's that? Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon. And beside him is Buzz Aldrin, the second man on the moon, and Michael Collins, not related to Phil Collins, by the way. He was also on Apollo 11, and yet he didn't step foot on the moon. Amazing, right? You're so close, yet so far. So these 3 men are national heroes. You know, standing at the foot of this statue, looking cool, and I started reflecting about my life. If I was Neil Armstrong back in those days, would I choose to go ahead with this mission called the moon? I mean, how crazy is that? No other person in the entire history of planet Earth has set foot on the moon, and who am I to be the first one? And not forgetting that he has a family. 2 young boys at the time, a very loving, supportive wife. Can you just imagine on that day when he was supposed to go to the moon? What would you say to your 2 little boys? Right? Oh, Daddy is going to the moon, and I may not come back. Wow. Would I do that? Wouldn't I prefer to stay at home, cuddle my 2 boys, maybe eat French fries or something? It's such a huge risk. Just 2 years ago, in 1967, 3 of his colleagues, they died on the spot during the rehearsal. Not even an actual thing. During the rehearsal, their command capsule caught fire, and all 3 men, they were fathers, they were husbands, all 3 died on the spot. And the memory was still fresh with Neil. And not forgetting, just 1 year before the actual landing on the moon, Neil almost died. He almost died. He was practicing how to land the command module, and the entire command module went crashing to the ground. He had only seconds to spare when he ejected himself from the capsule. Knowing these 2 facts, that you almost died 1 year ago, and that all 3 of your best friends and colleagues died 2 years ago, would you still say goodbye to your 2 boys? Say goodbye to your loving wife and go to the moon? That's why in a lot of venture capitalist companies, they call it a moonshot. A moonshot. To be brutally honest with you, I wouldn't go. I have 3 young children of my own, a loving wife, and I prefer to stay at home with them. Thank you very much. And I realized that throughout my life, I had been like that. There was this very strong reluctance to do something risky. I always preferred the safety zone. That's me on the left, by the way, the more good-looking one. And I was 17. Do you remember the moment when you first fell in love? Remember? Yeah? Oh, I can see the glimmer in your eyes. I fell in love. It was it's not the girl there, by the way. I fell in love with the most gorgeous girl in school. I was sitting in the canteen, I remember, and I wanted to walk up to her. and say, "Hey, how you doing, man?" That was only in my head. In reality, I was just sitting there, doing nothing. In my head, I was analyzing and overanalyzing. What if she said, "Go away, you loser"? What if my friends laughed at me? What a nerd, this guy. You know, all these scenarios were playing in my head, otherwise known as risk assessment. And I did not move ahead. So I stayed single all the way until I was 21 years old. Hey, come on, don't judge me. I'm sure some of you have been there. No girl wanted to go out with me because I didn't ask them. There was this strong reluctance to step out into the unknown. How pathetic. And this kind of reluctance stayed with me all the way until I graduated from college in 2001. You remember the day you just graduated and you threw your mortarboard in the air? Whoo! And you felt that you could conquer the world, change industries, impact lives. Remember? I felt that way. I could have become a filmmaker and inspirational speaker right at that moment. But no, it was too risky. I didn't know how much filmmakers made. This is not Hollywood, by the way, this is Singapore. Filmmakers made almost nothing. And speakers? There wasn't such an industry in 2001 in Singapore. So, what did I do? I chose to work for the Singapore Stock Exchange. It was a very boring job, trust me. You know, it's 9 to 5. I had a bunch of KPIs to hit every year. I had to fight for my promotion. I had to earn my rights for 5% increment every year to beat inflation. It wasn't my dream at all, but I chose it. Why? Because it's the low-risk thing to do. I stayed in my comfort zone. I could go home to my daddy and mommy and tell them, "Mommy, I have a stable job." And then she can tell me, "Oh, what a good son you are. Now give me my allowance." Oh, by the way, yeah, in Singapore, we're supposed to give our parents allowance once we start work. So those were the days where I had this strong reluctance always holding me back. And that is the first mistake I made in my career. And I know today you're not here just to listen to my story. We're here at BICSI conference to network, to learn, to reflect. It is time to reflect. Do you make this deadly mistake in your career? Always this strong reluctance, like, "Oh, no, that's too costly. Oh, that's too dangerous. What? Expand in another country? No way." And you know what happens to you if you stay there too long? You become redundant. From reluctance to redundancy. That's what happened to me. In December 2013, I remember the day vividly. I was based in Hong Kong by that time, an expat covering the region. And my HR director and my managing director, they asked me to go into the office. So I went in, and they looked like they were in a funeral. They passed me an envelope. At first I thought I was getting a promotion. I opened the envelope and read the first few words. "Mr. Eugene Seah, thank you for your service. Your role has been made redundant." What's going on? On that day, I lost my job. It's painfully enough to lose your job, but to go through 9 long months with every company that you apply for, all rejecting you, that is torturous. That is hell. I couldn't provide for my family. I remember in those days, I couldn't even afford McDonald's. McDonald's one meal is about 5 Singapore dollars, about 3 plus US dollars, and I couldn't afford it. Thankfully, in Singapore, there were very cheap meals that within about 2 US dollars, you could have a balanced meal. It's called economy rice. When you come to Singapore, I'll bring you there to eat economy rice. So during those days, it was painful. Don't forget, just a few months ago, I was the vice president of a bank. I was looking at the Hong Kong harbor, feeling powerful, earning 20,000 US dollars per month. And just like that, it's all gone. It was very painful. And why did I have to suffer that? Because I was reluctant to challenge myself. I was always choosing the safe road to take. This appeared on national TV. How embarrassing. This here says Channel 8 News in Chinese. So all my friends, can you imagine? The girl I was chasing, all my classmates who thought, wow, this guy is going to be such a successful man in the future. All of them saw this on national TV, that this guy is a loser. He became redundant. He lost his job. It was embarrassing. By the way, that's not me. That's Steven Seah, the inventor of the world's first digital camera. And he was working for Kodak at that moment, 1978. Can you imagine on that day how excited he must be? Like, whoo, digital camera. We don't need any film anymore. Woohoo! Hey, boss. Look at this, man. We don't need film anymore. What do you say? We don't need film. Digital. How did the Kodak management respond to that? Are you out of your mind? If you launch this, it's going to kill our film business. How long have you worked for our company? 3 years? Can't you see what we're selling? We're selling film. Now, I want you to keep quiet about this. Hide it. No more word about this, understand? No more word. If not, you're going to lose your job. This was revealed by Steven Seah in multiple interviews with the media. Can you imagine working for Kodak at that point of time in the research and development department, and you discovered one of the greatest inventions of all photography industry, and that's the response from your boss? Who here would actually resign at that point? What? 2 people? Steven stayed on. He stayed on in Kodak. Can you believe it? In fact, in 1989, he invented the second breakthrough. Some of you may have heard of it. The digital SLR, single lens reflex camera. Fast forward to today, you know that it is a breakthrough, right? In the professional photography business, everybody wants a digital SLR. And guess what Kodak management said to Steven? The same thing they said 11 years ago. Shh! What's wrong with you? Why are you always coming up with all these stupid inventions? Can you just do your regular job? Just pretend to do research or something? It's ridiculous. In 2012, as we all know, Kodak filed for bankruptcy. The photography business is cutthroat. Technology happens every single time. And when you find something new that could cannibalize your existing business, would you go ahead with it? You see, this reluctance is not just in me. It's not just in Kodak. If you're honest with yourself, it is in you too. please do yourself a favor. Write down, tattoo, scribble on your forehead. Please make sure that you never make this deadly mistake of reluctance to change. Look at what happened to the photography business. The film went down and the digital camera went up. But we all know that's not the end of the story, because this business changes just like that. When the iPhone was invented, the digital camera went down and the smartphone went up. And we all know by now, even the smartphone business is now at risk of losing its relevance. It's so fast in this industry. You know, I really admire you. You chose the right industry to work in. This is where future happens. But is your mindset and your heart prepared for the future? Prepared to embrace new technology? Looking at this chart is really tragic. And there's no warning. It's not like, oh, I'm going to give you 20 years to come up with a next new thing. Just prepare yourself. No. Just like that, your existing market share falls. Your existing signature product becomes redundant. Deadly mistake number 1, reluctance. Deadly mistake number 2, ignorance. Kodak was very ignorant about what customers really wanted. Customers. You know this word, customers? A lot of us are so deeply entrenched in our day-to-day work, we don't even know what customers really want. Say what you will about Steve Jobs, but something he knew was about the customer. He knew what customers wanted long before we even wanted it. That is how amazing a futurist is. Nokia was murdered by iPhone. Look at how many units they sold once upon a time. That was way back in 2006 and 2007, actually not too long ago. 250 million units sold. Hey, come on, be honest. Who has ever bought a Nokia phone before? Well, look at everybody. I remember during those days, I wasn't earning money yet. And I was going around and I was buying the next phone. And then when the clamshell came out, wow. And after the clamshell, there was something that twisted. Oh, that was amazing. Nokia was a giant in hardware. You know what they were ignorant about? Software. They thought that the mobile phone business was going to thrive and continue to thrive based on hardware, but it was so dead wrong. To be fair to them, they had a software called Symbian. Anyone remembers that? Symbian. It was so clunky and buggy that it grew irrelevant just a few years later. Quickly replaced by iOS, replaced by Android. That's how fast things change nowadays. One moment you're up, another moment you're nobody. Nokia. Nokia was once a giant and now they become a joke. Look at their market share, just plummet like that. Can you imagine owning more than 50% of global market share? Wouldn't you want that for your business? And look how fast it went down. 6 years. 6 years. When my child was born, and 6 years later, he still hasn't gone to public school. That's how fast things change. 6 years is all it took for Nokia to become almost nothing. In India, there's a saying called the Kupa Manduka. Kupa Manduka. In Chinese, we call it Jin Di Zhi Wa. Simply put, it is called frog in the well syndrome. Yes, this is the actual origin of where this phrase comes from. Can you imagine if you're a frog in the well? You are the master of your universe, right? Wow, man. I'm the king in this well. I know that on this brick there's a mushroom. And I know that there's some algae growing on this brick. And I know how big the world is. The world is only one blue circle. That's how Nokia actually felt. They were the masters of their universe. Hey, for goodness sake, it's above 50% global market share. Can you imagine how the Nokia senior management spend their weekends? Ooh. Shouldn't we do some research and development or something? Hey, don't worry, man. We're the king of the universe. And we're going to stay that way for years and years. That's how a person with ignorance behaves. He thinks he knows a lot. Actually, he only knows his own tiny universe. In English, there's another saying called tunnel vision. You think you're seeing a lot, but it's just in the tunnel. It is pathetic. I was like that. I was working 13 years for the financial industry, promoted every 2 years. That's how I got sent to Hong Kong to run the region, by the way. And I really thought that I had it made, I thought I was going to conquer the financial industry from VP to SVP, SVP to EVP, EVP to MD, and then finally, CEO. But I lost my job. Because I was ignorant. Which company in their right mind would continue promoting a guy who is ignorant? I don't know you very well, so I think you are the best judge of that. Do you spend your extra hours after work reading up about the future? Do you network on LinkedIn? Meet your competitors in secret? Watch videos on YouTube? Sign up for Udemy, Khan Academy? Or do you spend all your extra hours just sleeping and watching the video of Three Scrooges? What do you do with your spare time? You owe it to yourself and your family and your children's children to upgrade our knowledge and our skills. That's what BICSI conference is for, isn't it? All the booths, all the technology is evident for all to see. You can walk around, shake hands, exchange name cards, and keep in touch. Please, don't be ignorant like me. If you don't lose your job this year or next year, it's just a matter of time. But if you upgrade your skills, even if your company behaves like Kodak, there will always be companies who want people like you. Constantly upgrading your skills and knowledge, not just embracing the future, but creating the future. The third deadly mistake I made was being focused on my paycheck. By about 2011, 2012, I was actually losing interest in my job. I know you don't know how that feels like. All of you look super passionate in your current job. But I was very tired, burnt out. Some might even say depressed. Every Monday morning, I wake up and I have to drag myself to work. And you know what was driving me? My paycheck. Do you know which is the most exciting and happiest day in every month? Payday. It was really, really tragic. In order to motivate myself, I had to go onto my online banking, open up and see my statement, look at the $20,000 per month, and smile. And after that, I'll go and buy my Starbucks and go for meetings. That's how pathetic I was. No wonder I lost my job. How can you continue thriving in the industry if you're focused on only the paycheck? Money can only drive you if you are hungry, if you don't have 3 meals per day. But the moment you take care of that, come on, be honest with yourself. Salary is no longer the main motivator of your career. You are looking for something else, sense of achievement, sense of fulfillment, making a difference in the industry, isn't it? Who resonates with that? I can say that today, but during those days, no. I was just looking at the paycheck. This is a Japanese company, by the way. I will not reveal the name because they let go of me so embarrassingly. And I became something called the zombie. You know how zombies behave? Anyone watch a zombie movie before? They'll go like, and they look like they're alive, right? But we all know, spoiler alert, they are dead. They are called the walking dead. And the only reason why they are going around moving is to search for your brains. And that's what happened to me. I was dead inside. I had already resigned emotionally, but my body was still there because of the paycheck. I'm so thankful today that they kicked me out. I was a virus to my company. Instead of contributing breakthroughs, improvements, I was actually sucking up their energy. Can you imagine if you have a colleague like me during those days, where you go around dragging yourself? How are you, Eugene? Would you like such a colleague? Good morning, Eugene. What's so good about morning? When you have the virus, you need a cure. So these are the 3 biggest mistakes I made in my career and many companies made in their industry. Reluctance, ignorance, paycheck focus. It's no coincidence that they spell. And you still wonder how I lost my job. As long as you make these 3 mistakes, I promise you, you will RIP one day in your career as well. But I wasn't going to go under 6 feet and just die. No way. I had mouths to feed. These are my 3 young kids. Aren't they adorable? And my wife, very supportive. She gave up her career the moment we had our first baby. So that was 16 years ago. And I had 2 elderly parents. So that's how many mouths to feed? 7. 7 people relying on 1 single salary. That was how stressful I felt. And at the time, I had no salary. I lost my job. So in 2014, that was a transformational year for me. I spent every day crying. I was thinking, what's wrong with me? I studied hard. That's what my parents told me to do. I passed my exams. That's what my teachers told me to do. How did I end up being RIP? What's wrong with this world? And I started blaming the government, started blaming my parents. I started quarreling with my beautiful wife. I said, see, it's because you don't work. That's why now our family is in financial trouble. You wouldn't want to be my wife during those days. I was deeply depressed. Every day I was just pointing fingers at people, but never pointing at myself. And then one day, my friend, good friend for many years, came to me and said, why don't you spend the time meaningfully reading up on some, successful people? Maybe go to LinkedIn, go to Google, go to YouTube, watch their videos. And that's what I did. So I studied religiously the habits of these people. Recognize them? They are very inspirational. They have all succeeded in achieving their goals in their business and in their life. And I started reading up what are their habits of success. I didn't fly 28 hours to Florida just to share with you 3 mistakes I made. No, that would be a great disservice to you. This is BICSI conference, one of the most transformational conferences in this industry. So I came here today to present a gift. I call this gift WIP. A lot of us use WIP in our business. We call it work in progress, isn't it? And this is my core belief, that all of us here, regardless whether we are 2 months into our career, 2 years, 20 years, it doesn't matter. We are all work in progress. We are never there. Neil Armstrong has not arrived. Bill Gates has not arrived. No one has arrived. We are all constantly pursuing excellence. For the purpose of this keynote, I would like to redefine what WIP means and repackage them into 3 little gifts for you. Are you ready? W, willpower. And with willpower, we can overcome the reluctance. Just look at all these people. They all founded their companies at different points in their life. Some are old, some are younger. All of them were born in quite different countries and moved to America. And yet, they have a common trait. They have a will to succeed that cannot be quenched. Just look at this man. Isn't he amazing? When he was 30 years old, he was already the senior vice president in D.E. Shaw, one of the most successful investment banks at that time. 30 years old, with a 6-figure paycheck annually, not counting the variable bonus. And what did he do? He quit. How crazy is this guy? Like, if you are Jeff's friend, what would you say to him? Imagine Jeff coming to you and say, "Hey, bro, something exciting is happening, man. I plan to quit tomorrow." And as his friend, you go like, "Is there something wrong with you? What are you going to quit to do? Why? Another investment bank poached you?" And Jeff said, "No, man. I've decided to sell books on the internet, man." Now, does that sound like a good idea to you? Come on, be honest. Here you have a friend who is highly successful, wearing suits every day, going to Wall Street, senior vice president, and now quitting without a job to start a company selling books. You can't be serious. 1 year later, he registered this name called Amazon.com. Like, what kind of name is that? Amazon.com. And during those days, Barnes & Noble were giants. Right, how are you going to take over their business? We all know what happened to Barnes & Noble. But during those days, no one could predict the future except Jeff. Look at his share price. Oh my God. 1994, he founded Amazon, and in 1997, it went public. What? Some of my friends founded companies for 15 years and they never went public. 3 short years later, he went public at the price of $18. Anyone bought Amazon stock during those days? No? Oh, it's confidential, so sorry. And then after that, it crashed to $6 during the dot-com bubble burst. What? From 18 to 6, isn't it time to fold up your company? Not Jeff. He ran on all the way. I just checked yesterday. $2,160. Can you imagine? If you had bought his stock at $6, you just put a humble $6,000 in, how much would you have in your bank account today? $2.16 million. That is the advantage of foresight. That when you are a visionary, this is what happens to your company. This is what happens to your wealth. But it's not all smooth sailing. We all know that In 2000, 2001, his company almost went bankrupt, but he didn't give up. And then he wanted to go into hardware. Like, what's wrong with you, Jeff? They are shareholders, majority shareholders. They are supposed to give you advice as well. So they came to Jeff and said, Jeff, I know you're the founder of the business and all, but can you just take our advice for once? Like, you are an e-commerce website, okay? You are not knowledgeable about hardware at all. Please, we beg of you, do not go into hardware. Do not make your own device, please. And did Jeff listen to them? No! He went to launch Kindle. And it sold out. It was a hit. Everybody loved Kindle. Today, Kindle and Amazon owns 80% market share in the e-book business. That's crazy. Nokia at its height was only 50+%. And e-book is the future. Amazon owning 80%. As you can imagine, Jeff felt like the king of the world. And he decided to conquer the smartphone market. Anybody bought the Fire phone from Amazon? Within 1 year, Jeff had to write off $170 million. Some companies don't even have $170 million. And he had to write it off. He told the media, sorry, the experiment failed. And did that stop him? No. After that, he went on to launch Echo and Alexa. And all of us know that it was a hit again. And last year, Jeff overtook Bill to be the richest man alive. I mean, they're still neck to neck on this. How exciting, right? How you wish you're in that race, neck to neck on the richest man alive. You know what inspires me about Jeff is not that he's rich. Yeah, that's quite inspirational. But his tenacity, his resilience. He cannot be stopped. He cannot be stopped by the dot-com bubble burst. He cannot be stopped by his own majority shareholders. He cannot even be stopped by the failure of the Fire phone. This guy is unstoppable, man. Jeff himself wrote in the shareholders letter something very, very inspirational to me. As the company grows, everything needs to scale, including the size of your failed experiments. Let that sink into you for a moment. The size of your failed experiments need to grow bigger. If the size of your failures isn't growing, you're not going to be inventing at a size that can actually move the needle. Amazing. Whenever you feel down, whenever your project fails, touch wood, please reread what Jeff Bezos said. When you go to the tattoo parlor, stop tattooing mermaids and anchors. Tattoo Jeff Bezos' words. This is nuggets of wisdom earned through decades of hard work and tenacity. He is unstoppable, and so should we. Speaking of unstoppable, here's another man. I'm not sure whether to call him a man. Some people say he's like God. Some people say he's like Iron Man. I really don't know. This guy doesn't behave like a normal human being. You know, he was actually born in South Africa. That's his brother, by the way. And at the age of 17, he moved to Canada to study. At the age of 19, he moved to US. And then at the age of 21, guess what they did? They started a company, their very first one, called Zip2. They sold Zip2 a few years later to Compaq. And they earned not a very large amount, just about $15 million in his bank account. So imagine, in his early 20s, he was already a millionaire. Did that stop him? No. He and his brother went on to start another company. You may have heard of it. PayPal. PayPal, a few years later, sold to eBay for $1.6 billion. That's with a B. And that put a cool $165 million into Elon Musk's bank account. Take a moment to think about this. $165 million plus $50 million in your bank account. What are you going to do with it? You know what I will do with it? This is my ideal retirement plan. And by the way, that island is owned by me because I have $165 million in my bank account. Just buy a private island in the Bahamas and every year take a different woman there. Lie there by the beach and just relax all the way I'm 65. And did Elon do that? Did he do that? He went to start more companies. Not one, not two. No. Elon is far too crazy to start 2 companies. No. He started 5 companies. And each of these 5 companies plan to change the world. Just look at the first one, Tesla. Supposed to be self-driven, fully electric, and looking sexy at the same time. Like, how crazy is that? Look at the second one. I had the good pleasure of actually seeing the launch pad of SpaceX a few days ago at Kennedy Space Center. This guy wants to put people on Mars. Like when I was a child, when I said that, my father would slap me, say, wake up. And today, Elon is saying that to shareholders. He is really crazy. My motivation for all my companies has been to be involved in something that I thought would have a significant impact on the world. Elon is not interested in like share price, profit. That's for losers. He wants to impact the world. He said that his retirement plan is not in the Bahamas. You know what he said? I want to die on Mars, just not on impact. I want this guy to be my neighbor, man. Oh my God. He is the real Iron Man. Forget about what you see in the movies. Read the news. This guy is the real deal. Unstoppable. So I decided to borrow some grit from them, some tenacity from them, and I went on my LinkedIn and I changed everything. That was 5 years ago. I decided to get rid of all traces that I was a banker, that I was in the financial industry. I changed my title to Future Ready Abundance Life Coach. I didn't want headhunters to call me anymore. If they did call me accidentally, I would say no. You know, if you want to send a soldier to fight, you don't want a soldier to keep looking back and say, hey, where's the ship that will take us back to our country if we lose? Which one? You will want the soldier who willingly burns the ship. Burns the ship. So that there is no other choice but to win the war. If you don't win, at least die trying. What kind of person are you if you keep looking back? Oh, maybe I should be a banker. Oh, let me be a coach and speaker, but let me wait for the phone call for the headhunters to call me. I will never succeed in my new business. So I decided not to look back. I challenge you today to borrow some tenacity, some willpower from people like Elon Musk, the real Iron Man. We need it. I tell you, if you have the willpower, nothing will stop you. Nothing. You know, SpaceX had multiple explosions till now. And did it stop Elon? He's continuing. He's going to burn his own personal wealth on his projects. That guy is crazy, and I want to be as crazy as him. So here we have the first gift of willpower. The second gift I present to you, a concept called Imagineering. I borrowed this word from Walt Disney. Amazing guy, Walt Disney. People say he wasn't creative, he was a loser, but, well, he proved us all wrong. He said this about Imagineering. Well, always, we meaning Disney, exploring and experimenting. If you're copying this down, underline these two words. Your company needs to be constantly exploring and experimenting. We call it Imagineering, the blending of creative imagination with technical know-how. The left brain with all the technical know-how, and the right brain with your imagination. Combined together, fireworks. I have no doubt that all of us seated here today have a lot of technical know-how. Some of you have masters in engineering, some of you have PhD in quantum physics. But do we have imagination? This is what happened to Disney after applying Imagineering consistently over the years. That is some crazy share price. And that is not Walt Disney, by the way. That's me. Ain't I cute? Yeah? Hey, come on. When I was 6 years old, my parents dressed me up in this gear. You want to guess what their ambition was for me? To graduate with a college degree. When I was a small boy, I had a lot of imagination. You know, I imagined people with green hair, I imagined people flying around. And then when I went to school, the teachers stopped me. Eugene, can you do something practical? Go and do your homework. Hey, have you studied for your exams? All children are born with the potential to dream big. And you know who stops them? The school system. And in some cases, parents. It's so sad. The moment I went to school, forget about asking questions, forget about imagination. Just memorize, okay? Just memorize the formula, do your practices, you will score well, and then you can go to college, get your degree, and find a good job and retire there, okay? That was the dream of the past, but it no longer works. You know deep in your core that it doesn't work. Disney said this, that's the real trouble with the world. Too many people grow up. I don't see any kids in this hall. All of us are adults. Ask yourself, is there a kid in you? Is there a childlike wonder that you still ask questions like, hey, how does this work? Hey, what if we do something else with it? Hey, what if we combine these two things? Hey, what if we partner with that company? The sense of childlike wonder. All these people are successful because they practice religiously the sense of childlike wonder. They never let simple physics or budget stop them. No, they are constantly asking themselves, hey, imagine this. In fact, let's play a game of imagination right now. Imagine this, that one day, every home will have a personal computer. Who said this? Bill Gates. Very good. Next one. Imagine this, that one day, everyone in China doesn't have to start their own website, but can list their products on my website and sell to the world. Jack Ma. Last one, and it's getting more difficult. Imagine this, that one day, every environment, from your office to the hospital to your home and your car, every device from your glasses to the handphone to your watch will be connected by the internet. Who said this? Sergey Brin and Larry Page. In fact, in 2015, they surprised the entire world by doing this to Google. They made Google a subsidiary in a larger company called Alphabet. That is one crazy bet. You know why the company is called Alphabet? They are making a bet. That's what they said. This is the new organizational structure of Alphabet. That Google is just a simple subsidiary. It is a money maker, for goodness sake. And yet they treat it as just another business. They are not interested in making a search engine bigger. They want to connect the whole world with internet, from healthcare to automobiles to offices. This guy is as crazy as Elon Musk. Google's aggressive ambient computing strategy means it wants to be everywhere, and they are not keeping it a secret. They are already announcing to the whole world they want to be every industry. And what are we going to do about it? Fight them? Partner them? Go to sleep? What? We have to decide today. I go around the world coaching different management, and one of my clients is the biggest supplier of zippers. Yeah, man. They have over 50% global market share in zippers. So I told them, hey, imagine this. One day, I'm holding Starbucks on one hand and an iPhone on the other, standing at the urinal. And it's all hands-free, man. Wouldn't that be awesome? Well, I dream of the day that happens and I'll be the first person to queue up to buy the smart zipper. And imagine putting that on my wife's dress. Woo. But no, they told me, no, we're not making smart zippers, you creep. No. We are making other kinds of fasteners, like buttons, Velcro, glue. And I was very puzzled, like, why would you do that? You know what the management told me? If any disruption comes to our industry and to our business, we want it to come from within. That is the direct opposite of what Kodak management said. And you owe it to yourself to do this. Disrupt your own business, for goodness sake. Don't sit there doing the same old thing and hoping that, oh, I hope no Stanford graduate drops out and start another company. Please, no. Disrupt your own business. And now I present to you the third and final gift called progress obsession. In Japan, there's a concept called Kaizen. This was practiced religiously by a company called Toyota. Currently the world's #1 automaker by market share of sales. Today we take for granted, Toyota, their success case study, But don't forget, in 1945, what happened to Japan? 2 atomic bombs were dropped on Japan. And Toyota had broken facilities, no manpower. How did they, within 2 decades, become a global giant in automobiles? Is that crazy enough for you? They practice religiously, and I mean religiously. That means the engineers in Toyota meet up every single week, and they sit in a circle called the Quality Circle to give suggestions to each other across different departments on how to improve the production process. And they did it for 20 years. That's how religious they were. Are we that religious? Do you meet up regularly? I must confess to you that YKK is one of my few clients who are that religious in research and development and improvement in quality. Most companies, I won't name them for obvious reasons, but it's pathetic. I asked them, hey, when was the last time you met up together to brainstorm? And they said, they have to think. Some were 3 years ago, some were 5 years ago. And I don't mean meetings. I know you have meetings every week, some every day. I'm talking about brainstorming, imagination, giving suggestions on improvements, even if there's a risk. Please, let's learn from Toyota and practice Kaizen in our business. This is the statistics from last year. These are the leading companies who invest a lot of money in the future. Number 1 is Amazon. Number 2, Alphabet. Is it any wonder how they succeed then? Because they are always investing in the future. Yes, they are highly successful today, but these founders are too smart, too visionary to just rest in the Bahamas. They want not just to follow the future, not just to study the future, they want to create the future. This is what Jeff himself said: if you only do things where you know the answer in advance, your company goes away. The company becomes redundant, becomes irrelevant, bankrupt even. In the past 5 years, I've invested religiously in my own progress. Can you imagine? I already have a degree, right? From one of the top colleges in the world. I already have 13 years of senior management experience in the financial industry. Like, what more do I need? I need a lot. I invested thousands of dollars in something called the NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Some of us may have heard of it. And then on something called the Emergenetics, which is on psychometric tools, how to persuade and influence people of different personalities. Then I invested another few thousands of dollars in something called the ICF certification. And finally, on something called Landmark, which went deep into my subconscious to change what I truly believe about myself and the world. So the Eugene Seah you see on stage today is not the same Eugene Seah who lost his job in 2013 December. It's not even the same Eugene Seah in 2014 who studied religiously all these successful people. This is version 2.0, an upgraded Eugene Seah. And all of us, please set aside budget to upgrade ourselves. Don't rely on that degree from years ago, decades ago. Learn something new. Be excited. Become a small little boy and girl once again. Excited to go to kindergarten, learning the alphabet, singing nursery rhymes. Had a sense of childlike wonder. In 1962, the lunar mission almost didn't take place. 58% of Americans voted against going to the moon. Hey, come on, you're the president. Shouldn't you respect their wish? No, not for JFK. For Kennedy, he wanted to win the race with you know who. And he wanted to be the first to put a man on the moon. And nothing is going to stop him. In 1962, September, he appeared in Rice University and he gave a rousing speech. I was in Kennedy Space Center hearing this speech over and over and over again. And one part particularly hit me deep in my heart. And I will quote him. Some say, why? Why the moon? They might as well ask me, why climb the highest mountain? Why cross the Atlantic? We choose the moon. We choose the moon in this decade and to do all the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Indeed, it has been hard. They spent billions of dollars on the lunar mission. They sacrificed lives, men, husbands, fathers, to the lunar mission. It has been hard. I get a bit emotional reading his speech because it's been hard. Ever since I lost my job, 2013, 14, 15, those were the hardest years of my life. Every time I opened a bank account, it was close to zero. And every time I borrowed money from my brother, God bless him, he stays in Seattle. He's such a wonderful human being. He just lent me money without debating with me, without questioning me, without doubting me. And you know what I spent his money on? On upgrading myself, which meant that my bank account continued to be zero for those 2 to 3 years. It was very painful, very hard. But the best things in life, the things worth doing, are hard. Do you choose to do them? Or do you choose a life of comfort? Let me end this keynote and close off this entire BICSI conference by challenging you. Kennedy made a choice. He didn't really explain himself very well. He didn't say, oh, we want to go to the moon because it will do this for economy. No. He simply said, we choose to go to the moon. So today, I put a choice before you. You can choose. It is your right, your freedom, to choose the red path. A path of reluctance to challenge yourself, a path of comfort zone, a path of ignorance about the outside world, about macro trends, only concerned about your own KPI, on your own department. You can. This is your right. You can focus on your paycheck month after month, year after year. It is your right. It's a free country. But today, I challenge you. I humbly invite you to choose like I did, the path that Elon Musk chose, that Bill Gates chose, that Larry Page chose, the path of WIP. Having the willpower to overcome any challenges that come your way, having a sense of imagination combined with technical know-how, and being obsessed, even addicted to progression. Daily, consistent progression. And if you choose the green path like me, I would like to invite you right now to stand up. Only if you choose the green path. If you choose the red path, please remain seated. And please do not stand up simply because I asked you to stand up. Stand up because in your soul, you know that's why you're on earth, right? No, you're not on earth just to earn a monthly paycheck, pay your bills. No. What kind of life would that be? That when you're 85, looking back on your life, what do you achieve? Oh, I paid all these bills. How wonderful. No. Let's relive the sense of childlike wonder and imagination. Your company, your department, your product, your life is a lot more glorious than that. And if you believe me in the inner core of your soul, right now I invite you to close your eyes. Just for a moment. Let's respect this moment. And once you have closed your eyes, put your right hand on your heart, not for a show. No, you're not showing anybody. Everyone's eyes are closed. It is to make a promise to yourself. It is all well and good coming to a BICSI conference, learning all this fantastic stuff about the future. Make a promise to yourself to internalize everything you have learned. Make a promise to yourself that your life will be amazing. Repeat after me in the quietness of your heart, just in silence. There's no need for anyone else to hear. Today, I promise myself that not only will I prepare myself for the future, I will be part of a movement that creates the future, to create a better world for my children and for my children's children and for generations after. I owe it to my parents. I owe it to my God. I owe it to myself. And I know that BICSI will help me. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eugene Seah. Let's stay connected on LinkedIn.